Hey everyone, it's Samantha and I'm back. I've been a little MIA from social media for a while, but I feel everything is kind of settled down since having my baby and we moved, and now it's time to get back in the swing of things. So today's topic is application process, and I want to explain the importance as to why I think it is great to have an application process for a new client when you specialize in whatever it is at your salon. So whether you are a specialist with color, or you're a specialist with extensions, or a specialist with haircuts, I feel it's great to have an application process so that way the client has clear guidance of what to expect for services, and they are really well prepared to know and understand your policies and your pricing. And it's a good way for you as the professional to also get insight on your client. So I wanted to review with you what I put within my application form. So I specialize in hair extensions with color. So I don't service clients for color only, but I do color with extension services. So I wanted to review with you why I have an application process. So for me, I feel having an application sets a standard for my clients with expectations. So when people DM me or they message me and they want to know what's the price for this and this, and it's hard for me to give an exact number until they fill out the application and we start the consultation process, because every client is so different, right? And you don't really know the density, the texture, the length, the goals they want. It's hard to just quote someone 1 to 2 rows of extensions when their color could be a 4-hour color correction process. So this is why application process is important. And also, I want to make sure my clients or potential clients are going to follow suit with my application form. It's kind of like, I want to make sure they are following the directions. Like, this is what is required to come and sit in my chair. So I need you to do X, Y, and Z to do so. And if that process can't be completed or done, I don't want them sitting in my chair. I need them to understand how I run my business, and I don't want any client blindsided when they sit in my chair with any costs. So all of that should be explained within your application form. So I figured let's just move on through it. So normally when you have an application form, all right, we're back. Sorry guys, the battery died and had to reset up again. Okay, so back to extension application. I feel the biggest reason why you want to have an application is you want your potential client to be able to follow directions and to understand the process. And I feel like that is such a big step with the applications. Like, if someone can't follow the directions I need them to do, then I don't want them as a client sitting in my chair. So first things first, let's get started with the application. So within my application form, there's so many different platforms you could use. Some you have to pay for, some are for free. I actually use Google Forms. If you have a Gmail account, you can create applications within Google. The only thing with a Google form is the potential clients can't upload pictures of their hair. So that's the only downfall. But for me, I have the application basically to go over for me to get as much information about the client and their hair and to review my pricing. And usually if the client wants to say yes, then after that and the application is complete, I personally will reach out to them via text message, and then that's where we will exchange photos and I can get more in-depth knowledge about their hair and see photos of their hair. So for me personally, I feel it's not necessary to have right away, but there are many other forms like Woofu, Jotform that you can use that I believe you could get photos within the application. So first things first, at the top of my application form, I have like a small little bio. I explain who I am, what my specialty is, and it gives the potential client just a quick like guide, like, hey, I need this application filled out so that way I could get your specific goals for what you're trying to achieve. And it'll help me determine if you are a great fit for the hair extension methods that I offer. So just, it's always good to add a little bit of a bio, like a welcoming to the application. First things first, I always like to get the potential client's information. So I have their email, their first name, their last name, and their phone number. Then I also ask them, are you currently wearing extensions? So simple yes or no boxes. Within the application, if there's anything that you really want the client to explain more in depth, then you could have like a little drop down area where they could write. But most of my stuff is click a yes, no, click on your texture, that kind of thing. So we'll continue to move through. So are you currently wearing extensions? Yes or no. Have you worn extensions in the past? Yes or no. And if it is yes, my next one is what methods have you worn and what has your experience been with them? So I like to get a little bit of a background of the client. So whether you're using this application for color or for haircut, you could ask them, when was the last time you colored your hair? Have you used box dye on your hair? What was your most recent experience? What are you looking to change? Things like that. It's always good questions to ask. I have a texture option. So how would you describe your current natural texture? Because obviously with extensions, there's many different options of wefts that you could use in a client, whether they're straight, wavy, or even textured options. Because then there's, textured straight, textured wavy, and textured curly. So I like to know how the client's natural hair texture is. But for me personally, sometimes clients, even if they have a natural wave or they have some texture to their hair, if they wear their hair straight 90% of the time, 80% of the time, then most likely I would prefer to use straight wefts because it's going to be more work for the client to not only have to smooth and straighten or flat iron their own hair, now they're going to have to do the same thing with the extension. So normally if I were ever to use any type of texture or wave on a client's extensions, it's because they wear their hair naturally like that more than 75% of the time. So it's always a very important question to ask when doing extensions. So how would you describe your natural hair texture? Fine, medium, coarse. How about your density? Is that also thin, medium, thick? Shoulder, like hair length. So when I'm doing an install, I like to know where the client's natural hair is falling. So I ask them, is their natural hair longer than the shoulders or shorter? Because that will help me determine how many rows they're going to need. And it also depends on their overall like inspo photo. Because if someone has short hair and they just want fullness, then one row can be fine to add fullness to their current length. But if they have short hair and they want long, obviously one row is not going to work because we'll have really thin ends and it's not going to match the density on the top of their hair. So they'll have to have more than one row needed. Is your current natural hair colored? Yes or no? So I feel that's a good question to ask because sometimes I get some client applications that the clients actually do not color their hair. They wear the hair all natural, but they definitely are still looking to get extensions to add fullness or length to what their hair really is. And yes, if they do color the hair, is there anything you'd like to change about your current color? If so, what is it? So then I have the client explain. Some clients will be like, nope, I'm kind of happy with where I'm at. I just want to freshen up what I have. Or sometimes I get clients that want to completely change their look. So that's a good idea to also have that question because then you could have kind of prepare for the color service. And then I also ask, how did you find my services? So I have a drop-down list because I have a referral program for my current clients, but I like to know where my clients find me and how my marketing is working. So for me, I write down my options are Instagram, Facebook, Yelp, Google, my salon, Veil of Grace, the website, Was it a client referral? Was it a stylist referral? Because I do have some stylists in my salon who don't do extensions, but they send their clients to me for extensions. So that is something that I will do for the girls that work with me in the salon. So that way they could still see their client for color, and then I'll take care of the extension service. And I usually like to know if it is a client or stylist referral, what is their first and last name, because I'd like to thank them. So whatever your referral program is, it's kind of a good idea to find out who was referred, so that way you can continue on with that process and either reach out to that stylist or that client and thank them. Or, for me, I think for client referrals, I offer like $225 off of their service for any referral that books. So whatever that referral is for you, you want to make sure that you follow through with that if it is a great referral coming your way. Pricing is the biggest thing for sure you need to have on your application, at least where your start prices are. So I have like a first-time client investment. You can expect to spend X amount of dollars to X amount of dollars, and this will give you X, Y, and Z. So I feel as a potential client filling out an application form, you want to know what's included in the services, or what the potential service could be. So whether if you're a color correction specialist and it's an hourly rate, you could explain, most partial highlights or balayage, you could expect 2 to 3 hour services. Color corrections will usually include services that need like full weave, root adjustment, toner, root smudge. Sometimes it's a 2-color application process if you're having to fill someone and then darken their color. So I would have a clear guide as to what's the price would be for your clients. For me, I give a breakdown for brand new installs and what's included with the install for 18 inches for 1 row, 18 inches for 2 rows, 22 inches for 1 row, 22 inches for 2 rows. And then I also explain an appointment retainer. So I personally collect a retainer, which is a non-refundable payment to be able to schedule your services on my schedule. I feel if you're offering higher end services or even color services, if someone's going to be blocking out 2, 3, 4, or 5 hours of your time, you want to collect a retainer because you want the client to be held accountable for the service and the time that they are booking with you, because for it to make such a big block on your schedule, and you're probably only going to see 1, 2, or maybe 3 of those a day. If they no-show, that's a huge gap on your schedule. So I usually require a non-refundable retainer to be able to book on my schedule. And then when the client shows up for their day of service, that retainer is then deducted off of their total cost. Some places say non-refundable deposit, but I live in California, so we say retainer. And then I usually will have in here, do you understand the appointment retainer policy? And then they have to check yes. I don't even give a no option. So it's a yes, they understand, and then they move over to the next section. I also put in there maintenance appointments. So I explain within my clients, like for my returning clients, they could expect the following. Within 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to need your bump ups, which is removing the wefts, cleaning them, recoloring them, hand laying and putting everything back on, new beadwork, new stitching, the whole thing. So I explain what the maintenance will be for bump ups per row. And then I also give my color breakdown for services moving forward. Because even though if you do offer package pricing or hourly rate for a new install, maintenance appointments could be so different based on the service that the client is getting. So that way it's clear for the client moving forward, like, okay, this is an investment. This is going to be the first, payment to sit in this client's chair, but what is it going to be moving forward? Because you want someone that's going to have longevity with you, right? You don't want someone who's just going to come and get a service done one time and then they can't afford to move it, to have appointments moving forward. So I feel it's very clear to have that written down for potential clients to see. I also put a cancellation policy. I feel this is very big to have for any professional. You have to have a cancellation policy. I would explain how many hours your cancellation policy is, what the client would be charged if they cancel within that time frame. I also put a late policy and a no-show or no-call policy. I feel you have to be very strict on this, and I have implemented these policies before. And I feel a client's not going to take you seriously until you have these policies set in place. And I know sometimes it's so hard to have to put your foot down, but you have to think this is your time, this is your expertise. Like, you have to have policies for your business. So definitely list within your application form a cancellation and reschedule policy, whatever that may be for you, a late policy and what your standard is for being late, and a no call, no show policy. Definitely need to have that in there. And then I also put, do you understand the cancellation policy? And I only give the client a one box option. Yes, I understand the cancellation policy to move forward. And then I kind of finish off my application like, are you ready to experience luxury hair extensions? And then having the full knowledge put forward and the financial commitment to obtain these services. Are you ready to sit in my chair? And then I usually will have a yes option, I can't wait, or no, I'm not ready, or I give them another, because sometimes I've had people fill out my form and they said, okay, great, like, yes, I want to, but I need 2 months to save the money for me to see you, or yes, but I'm not ready to have services until 3 months from now for a certain event. So I kind of give them an option to explain, but 90% of the time it's either a yes or a no. And if it is a yes, then I have all the client's personal information, so that way I then can reach out to the client and start the consultation process, and to get moving forward and get them on my schedule and to collect that retainer before I book any services. So that is also very important as well. But I hope this application process will help you for any future bookings you might have. If you're looking for kind of a free start to dabble in the application process, check out Google Forms. You could create your own application form. I feel it's pretty easy to do, and you could add variation of text boxes. You could add your colors to it so it blends in with the theme of your salon or your studio suite, whatever it may be. And then Google also will, within the settings, they have, they keep tabs of all the applications. So I could go through and I can see the average, answers for everyone who's ever filled out my form. And it's a way for me to go back, and I could even download, I could print out all the information that I need. So I love it. I feel it's great, and it's super organized, and it comes with a hyperlink too, so you could add it within your social media platforms, which is great. But if you have any other questions regarding an application form and what you should include, just comment and let me know. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.